2021 Tools of the Trade is back. Let's check this new gizmo out. Welcome back to the McGolf Shop. Jim McCleary in the McGolf Shop. Now, Tools of Trade. I've done Tools of the Trade. There was Tools of the Trade Tuesday. Tried to make everything happen on every Tuesday. And basically life would get in the way and I would fail on it eventually one time. Maybe this is the third time's the charm. Thanks to Mondaire at Golf Mechanix, you know, we're getting on the right foot to make this happen. Now, and what does this mean? So if I get to do it the way I want to do it, we're going to get at least 50 Tools of the Trades in by the end of the year. All right, that's accounting for the fact that I'm going to take vacations and stuff. But then you never know. So, you've seen me do Tools of the Trades before, and it's all about helping you guys make better decisions on the type of tools that you need. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the tools that you need just because I use them, all right? All you guys out there have different skill sets, have different needs for your shop, have different requirements for your businesses, all right? And you're going to have to know, first and foremost, you got to start at the end and work your way back. What is it you want to provide the customer? What do you want to provide the golfer? What do you want to do for your buddies when you're out there? What do you want to do for yourself? All right, those are all the questions you have to ask way out here. And then what is it you need in order to accomplish that task? All right, do you need training? Do you need machinery, tools, right? And then and then the place to do this, right? And then the materials to do it with. So it kind of goes in that direction. So not every tool is going to be all that is not going to be all lights and gizmos and things like that, because let's face it, it's just not, okay? However, the very first tool we got is going to be super duper cool. All right, it's the Auditor, right? The Auditor Frequency machine. Now, Auditor is a model, you know, for golf mechanics. There's the Auditor Frequency machine, Auditor Shaft Profiler, Auditor Shaft Length and Club Length, or all kinds of things, right? They're all called Auditors. And why not, right? The Auditor, it just sounds right because you're auditing your golf gear. Why not? I think that's a good idea. So let's talk a little bit more about this load cell before we go make it work. All right, the load cell is very delicate. So there's two things you have to do. You have to mount it to a very solid base, whether a workbench, a platform, whatever, but it's got to be solid. If it gives like this a lot, then it's not going to be able to register the vibration from the strain that's on there, because basically it's a strain gauge. And a strain gauge is a piezoelectric kind of setup that it works on two pieces pushing on each other and creating that current through that strain. The other thing you have to worry about that is when you go to mount it on a bench, you go, oh yeah, I'll mount it on my bench right next to my grinder. Wrong. All right, so if that thing's running and if that thing is running and you go to try and measure something, the vibration will be of the grinder, the sander, whatever other piece of electrical gear you got that goes "arr," is going to be felt at the bottom of this. So this needs to be kind of on its own, and that's the reason why I have a clean side and a dirty side. So all the clean / sensitive stuff is on one side, all the dirty / vibration-y stuff is on the other side. When you get ready to move, there's a couple of things that you can do. One, you'd either take it off the bench and put it in a box so that it's protected, or you put some bubble wrap or a shaft in a small piece of shaft, wrap it in bubble wrap, and then clamp it down so that it's not getting jostled. Now the super duper cool stuff. One, it's a really small footprint, and that's a good thing. So now I've got all this bench area to work with. Holy smokes, what am I going to do there? The other part is it's simple to use. I like simple to use. All right, there's two things I'm going to be doing with this particular unit. I'm going to be checking the frequency of the golf clubs, the golf shafts, and I might start into some profiling. Okay, now that I have this ability to do that with this one, I didn't have it with the other one. So now it's ready to go. So let's take the old off and put the new on. This is a frequency machine. So let's talk about some frequency and what flex means. All right, and this is a chicken and their egg kind of deal. Frequency or flex, right? In the beginning, flex was measured by putting a strain on a shaft with a given weight. And you would draw on some graph paper, right, over here. There's a neat setup that you had on the wall. To the point, that method is still in use when you look at putting strains on shaft. Maybe not as archaic as just hanging a shaft, but you use load cells and whatnot. Okay. Now, another way that's probably less labor intensive, and does it give you a reading of the entire shaft? No. This is a butt-end shaft, or butt frequency of a shaft. And it is using frequency. All right, frequency. And that is cycles per minute on how many times it will do this in a minute. Once you know the length, once you know the frequency, you have it on a chart. That chart has frequency and has length, and then what in there is lines of flex. So what you do is you come to meet the both, and whatever line of flex that hits, that's what that is, okay? Now, everybody asks about this chart. This chart is calibrated to my unit. I use a calibration rod that I was given long ago, and I keep it in storage in a plastic sleeve in the whole 9 yards so it doesn't get damaged. And to date, it has been dead on. But if you do need a frequency chart, get a hold of GolfWorks. Those guys have a couple of very good frequency charts, and they will be able to help you out no problem. Now back into the Auditor. This is what they call a reference frequency machine. And that's just the name of it. Basically, what you saw before on on the other review I did, it was a much more robust unit. It had 2 clutch clamps in order to hold down the shaft while it was measuring. Although it was very solid, very secure, it was also very time consuming. And I spoke to that with Mondaire, the emperor of machines, and I said I like it, but it's too time consuming. I can't use it. So I sent it back to him, and he sent me that back here just a couple days ago, and I was like, oh, let's try this one out. And my first concern was, will the single clutch be enough? And that's what we're going to go find out. Alrighty, we're using my new iron. I figure we'll just go with the red since that seems to be a thing. Number one, will it fit? Let's find out. And look at that, it does. Very cool. All right, let's get this thing down here. Always go for 2 of those. We're in the ready mode so when you turn it on, it gives you the zeros. It's going to get to the ready. Reset. 287. 287. 287, one more, 287. So 287.76 or 288, you can go get that. So if we wanted to know what that was, then I could go to my frequency chart. Once I knew what my length was, and then I could find my flex. That's with a grip on. Now, let's try it with a grip off. This one I'm going to use a Nippon wedge shaft. There we go. 1, 2. Now I don't have a wedge on there, but we're going to use this as a simulated head. Now this is a 205 in weight in grams, so we're going to just put that on the edge of the shaft. There we go. There's a different way of resetting it. There we go. I can start all over. 397 and some change. 397. 396 almost, 397. 397. And that ends up being what it was in the average. So you saw it cycling. We're talking about moving tenths and hundreds of cycles per minute. We could have kept it in that neck of the woods. So that's pretty cool. So now what we want to do, let's say you wanted to do some shaft profiling. You move down another 10 inches. and zero it out. $488, almost $489. Same one again. $489, $490. All right, so there we go. No, we're not going to get that. There we go. Let's try that again. 490, 490 and some change. 490 again. 490. 491. There you go. That's the number that we could use for this particular one. So you get the idea of what it takes to be able to make that to go as you go down there. Now, you're going to get down to the end, it's going to over range, and it's going to give you an over. And what you would use in order to get a lower number is basically a bigger weight. Now, the other part is that if you guys notice, my bench was kind of cluttered. So I'm in this old dog learning new tricks kind of thing, and I get itchy. And so I've got to learn a new trick in order to do this. Now, why did I have two? I used my one frequency machine that I've had for years, and it's been a reliable unit. It has yet to fail me. However, it wasn't the clamp wasn't massively solid in order to do flowing. I could see the clamp was wiggling, and I did not like that. I didn't want to wiggle. So I got another one, and it was called a Club Scout, which may still be in production somewhere. Anyway, it had a really good clutch clamp and it was very, very solid, and that's what I used for flowing. I talked to Mondaire and I said, you know, if I could get just one unit to do it all, I could save a lot of space. Boom, there it is. All right, and so now you and I are going to take a trip to figure out to make this thing work. I mean, look at this. Look at all this extra room I've got. Now, what I did initially when I was looking to set it up, as you saw in my teardown, is that I needed it to be able to shoot onto the whiteboard down there in order for it to work. And there it sits. I got to have a weight in order for that to be able to be seen. So now, not only do I have now a reflective place, I have a place to do this. So very good. I think it's going to be a really, really good setup. Flex is an important parameter that you just have to know in order to ensure that the golfer is playing the best golf equipment possible. There are multiple ways of getting to it, but as far as quick, you need to get it know some really good numbers. Once you get used to it, bam, that's the way to go. I don't see any problems with this particular unit. Now, I can say that for a lot of different units, but you have to be confident in the machinery that you use. And that's the issue that I'm going to be using right here, is we got to put it through its paces, get used to it, and make sure the different ones, because my touch for twanging has got to get much, much lighter. And in a fast-paced build, it's going to be real trouble for me. So, and the machine will remind me. We're going to put the unit through its paces. Certainly, we're going to get some good use out of it. Certainly, we're going to report on it more often. Now, between spining, flowing, frequency, profiling, there's a lot going on with this machine. So it's going to be the center or the hallmark part of the monitoring part of the bench. So we're going to really use it up. I like the fact that my bench is clear. I don't know if that means more stuff, or is it just the fact that I got more room to put more club heads. Mondaire, you did a good job. All right, so what you guys are going to be seeing coming up in here are some, a subscribe button. Do that if you would, please. And another video that it's going to be checking on in order, something that you might find out that comes from McGolf that you might like. Take a little bit of time, take a look at that. And as always, let's see your scores go low.